Aura. We've seen this word thrown around recently in social media. It's code or a buzzword for a certain vibe or energy that someone has. Something that justifies what you do, it validates you. With aura, one could do no wrong. Hi guys, Idol here. In this video, I'm going to rank all the Arknights event bosses by their aura. In doing so, I'll be using the following criteria. First, gameplay. How much aura do their abilities have? Is the boss fight actually difficult? Second, design. What's the background of the character? Does their overall aesthetic have aura? And third, miscellaneous reasons. It's mostly going to be focusing on the boss team. If you have aura, of course, you have the boss team to match. And also going to be included in this is basically any relevant reason I can think of. I mean, it is my tier list, so yeah. And yeah, even though I do have criteria, I'm not really running the numbers on this. This is all going to be purely on vibes. And yeah, this is pretty much the tier list. Aura at the top, and yeah, auraless at the bottom. You guys know how this works. S, A, B, C. This is basically D, but it's auraless and labeled here. And yeah, to be auraless, you not only have little aura, something about you also has to be so egregious that you're actually deserving to be put on here. So yeah, that's the framework that we're working with here. So yeah, let's get on to it. Let's start this off with Big Bob. Well, the thing about him is, he's just a guy. He's just a stat stick. He doesn't even have his own BGM. It's just a recycled main story team. Like, I mean, I get it. He was the first boss of the first event, but even so, he's kinda auraless. But I mean, he was within the story, he was doing the whole treasure hunting thing for his team, for his crew, right? So I guess I can respect that. There's definitely aura in doing it for your homies, so I guess I can put him in C. Yeah. Pompeii, well, it's literally just a slug. He's kinda imposing, but as the game has progressed, he's basically become a jobber. Like, he's in IS3, I believe. He's used in pretty much random events. Like, yeah, he's basically the generic slug boss of the game. Emphasis on generic, and being generic is minus aura. Still, he's kinda surprisingly hard-hitting, so I guess he can be on C, I guess, after Big Bob. Okay, Rat King. He's a pretty important person within the universe, in Lungmen in particular. Gameplay-wise, he's pretty tame boss all around, but we'll give him consideration for being in my opinion, a well-designed boss in the early days of Arknights. Having 2 sand tornadoes is also pretty imposing in general, and well, most importantly, he's Len's dad. That's definitely aura. So I guess I'll put him in, A, I guess? I mean, he's pretty tough all around, but I feel like there's still something missing that the other S candidates have. Mudrock. Okay, this one's tough. I got into the game just before Twilight of Volume 1, and her event was the one that set the tone for me in terms of getting the gameplay. Her as a boss, she was imposing as fuck, with all that armor too, and all the golems she's controlling, yeah. And also the thing she does with her hammer in-game to yoink a gramophone, that's definitely plus aura points for sure. And the thing with her story in-game, like, she didn't even want to fight, she was just doing she was just doing her thing, just to keep her men safe. But still, I kinda still have to put her in A, and let me explain. Mechanics-wise, she's just a really tanky body, and we saw this in Lead Seal, the contingency contract. And within the story, she's just really a mid-level ex-reunion leader, which is still something, of course, but it's not really something that takes her to the top. I'll still have to put her above Rat King though, because well, in my biased opinion, that armor is definitely aura. Big Ugly. Well, in gameplay terms, it's just a really beefy body that can explode. It's quite literally just a robot piloted by a bird. And the bird runs around when you beat the robot. That's minus aura. I mean, it's still a robot, so it's not totally auraless. So I guess I can put him in C. I think he's kinda less aura than Big Bob though, so yeah. Okay, the twins. Well, the thing about them is they're basically just knights on drugs. They do have cool sound effects on their power moves. There's aura in that, but being dependent on each other, I don't think that's aura. In my opinion, to have aura, you have to be strong independently. And yeah, they're basically just guys on drugs. I guess I'll just put them in C, lol. Jesselton. Well, the thing about him is that Zarya just punked his ass. Like, I don't think there is any boss that got their ass beaten so hard within the story. Also, his to-be-continued vignette further exposed him, really. And gameplay-wise, him as a boss was just so easy. Like, he just walks around and does nothing, like, hello, do something. So I guess I'll put him in Aura list, like, he's such a punk. Free, well, Dusk's Paint Dragon certainly lives up to his name. Like, how could you be a dragon but also be so easy to mog? Like, his effects are cool, but damn! I don't even think he matters in the story too, he's just kinda whatever. Like, your name is literally free. You just lose any ability to have aura for sure. But I mean, I guess he still has more aura than Jesselton though, so I guess to the bottom with you. Okay, Essence of Evolution. I definitely say that this guy was one of the game's first true hardware checks. Like, just imagine all the small slugs flooding your screen. That's aura. Its mechanics weren't really complicated, but it definitely had a vibe that it was kind of threatening, really. Like, the concept of it as an in-universe entity is also interesting, and I quote the Enemy Encyclopedia. Its existence naturally contradicts all of Terra. It should not live, it must not live. Aura. Definitely aura. So into B it goes. Emperor's Blade. Well, you guys know where this bad motherfucker is going, right? Straight to S with you. Well, one of the strongest forces in universe, said to carry the will of Ursus itself. Like, come on. They've also have done a lot of bad things, bad with a capital B. They can literally make shadow swords, and their black mists called Dominion. Dominion. Hello? In-game, they're also just one of the most annoying bosses ever. Dominion reducing attack speed and their ability to just destroy every enemy within Dominion. It's just crazy. HG literally designed a boss specifically to counter Surtur, who was the Thanos at the time. Like, aura. Aura. Deserving of S. Straight up. Okay, the Bishop. Well, the thing about him is, he's big, but he also kinda doesn't do anything? Lol? It's pretty much the most whatever boss of all time. Like, monstrous size has no intrinsic merit. Really, like, all he does is just shake the ground and cause rocks to drop. Let's be serious here, like, I mean, I guess I don't overly dislike it, but I'll put him in the bottom of C. He's such a chump and such a letdown. Okay, Pancho. I mean, he's on a boat. He's on a boat! But he's not the king of the world like Leo. Like, honestly, as a boss, he was kind of whatever. He's really underwhelming for how imposing his design is. The boat felt more like a novelty than anything. He does jump out and look rugged while doing so, but then he just hits hard? Like, I mean, I guess being a revolutionary leader does have aura in it, but he's also kinda a letdown. I guess I'll put him next to Bob. He does still have more aura than Big Ugly though. Blood Knight. He literally has blood powers. That's metal as fuck. Using blood arts while infected. That's aura. That's an infection waiting to happen, but that's aura. I mean, he's basically a hero of the infected in universe. That red armor is also certainly imposing as hell. His gameplay also, I mean, it's not too hard to deal with, but the fact that he can basically live forever in his first phase, like if he gets enough blood blades, that's tough as hell. I guess he can go into A, maybe behind Mudrock. Does he have more aura than Rat King? Well, he also has armor, so I definitely think so. Armor is cool, yeah. Okay, Degenbrecher. Well, she's one of the most imposing warriors in universe. She's literally all strength and speed, with no arts dependency whatsoever. That's tough as fuck. Like, that's the Black Knight. I mean, of course she's going to S. I will always, forever be mad at Hippogriff for not naming one of her skills as Momentum Murder, which is one of her skills as an enemy. Like, it's one of the hardest names of skills ever, and they didn't use it. Like, man. Also her boss fight. It's IMO the complete package. Cold as fuck boss that's relevant in universe. Epic BGM. That melody is sick. Also, actually cool fight. Her just making all my units just not do anything, basically as a way to demonstrate her prowess. That's pretty sick. S. Yeah. Sui-Xiang, I definitely butchered that, feel free to call me out in the comments. Well, he's the second big event boss that uses tiles, and he's actually a bit cooler. It's like the representation of the true form of Sui, and the fact that they chose to make it so large and imposing is a respectable design choice for sure. What I don't like is that it feels so weak to play against. Its melee attacks have no impact. Even the Bishop has more oomph to it. He does have a laser, which is cool. Lasers are cool. But it's overall kinda a letdown. He's gonna go in B, definitely higher than the Essence of Evolution at least. Do you guys hear that? I know for a fact that when you heard that organ, you instantly knew whoever was coming in has the unmatched aura to deserve it. And Anduin definitely has it all. Martyr may perhaps have the most sheer aura in the game. I said it. The guy with the Fiametta profile picture is definitely not biased regarding the Laterano stories, no sir, I promise. He's literally a man who is enacting a rebellion against the law, which is basically the Laterano god figure, and who is approved by it. Even the Laterano law is familiar with his game. Also, his gameplay as a boss also definitely lives up to the hype. He has the most annoying and hardest mechanics in the game, his dodge aura, which can apply multiple times and they stick around. Also, yeah, he has a board wipe, where he scans enemies in epic fashion and just snipes them headshot, damn. This guy has so much aura. He's just the perfect package. In fact, I'll make a tier above aura. I know it looks like I made this video just to gas him up, but he definitely deserves it. The Endspeaker. The thing about this guy is that it's young and basically immature, but it's also shown to be very adaptable. The fact that you fight him directly after he eats Amaya and inherits some of her consciousness is metal as hell, and it definitely adds some aura points to it. His mechanic of slowly growing and being more imposing and scary as he eats fellow sea monsters is also pretty unique in general, and the morbidness of it all is definitely aura points. The fact it actually makes him really annoying to fight, it really does add up, so I guess I'll put him at A, definitely at the end of A though, yeah. Kreide, Worldly Remains. This is basically Kreide sacrificing himself by taking the voices of Terra and being thus taken over by the Witch King, and honestly, that altruism is aura. It's a really interesting fight too. I like that it kinda integrates the story a bit because it shows Kreide fighting back. It's one of the few bosses that can become an ally temporarily, and honestly, that's much respect to Kreide. The fight itself is kinda whatever, it's just a boring stat check, really. However, I really like the respect this boss fight puts to the story and the character, so I guess I'll put it in A above the Endspeaker. The music is also banging because of course it's a Latanian event. Stitch, or Minimalist. Minimalist may have the least aura in the game, the boss version at least. Bro is such a pushover, it's crazy. The boss fight itself is a whole lot of nothing. It's so easy to instantly pop the boss as soon as it appears. The Stitch that comes out of the drone after you kill it is also kinda whatever. This is quite literally the boss with the least aura in the game. I guess more than Jesselton at least. Awaken. Well, okay, in universe, it's supposed to be a really big thing that's controlling the collective unconscious of the people that Dorothy took for her experiments. That's all good and actually has a good amount of aura in it, but, however, my biggest problem is how the boss fight itself is such a letdown. It's not even a big or imposingly designed boss, and all it really does is teleport around and fire projectiles. All it really does notably is activate the armors. It's such a lazy design for what could have been an interesting concept to fight. So I guess I'll put him in C. It's still above the Bishop, of course, I think. So yeah. Zaaro. Zaaro is definitely auraless. At the end of the story of Il Siracusano, he was basically made to be a total chump. He basically had to run with his tail between his legs, and that's basically just negative aura all around. He couldn't even beat Lapland. His fight is also incredibly boring and uninspired. It's just a stat check. And anyone close to him gets lowered attack speed. Get out of here with this uncreativity. His fight is actually kinda fire though, so I guess he can be at the top of our list for now. But it's such a letdown. The Leader. I'll say it straight up, despite how easy it is to make fun of her name, Eblana has so much aura on her, from her stature in universe to her gameplay and even her BGM. She's just straight up the leader, of course, of an entire armed nationalist movement. And she lives up to her reputation, from her imposing appearance to her actual abilities. Her ability to just make enemy units not die is honestly tough as hell. She also has a disarm, she can take the life of her allies to give herself a barrier, and when she goes to her second phase, the actual scene of just every reed on the map going on fire is actually a crazy sight to behold. So much aura in there. And there's also, not to mention, her BGM, a patriotic anthem that evokes both a sense of longing and also readiness for struggle and conflict. Overall, Banana's boss fight is just a well-crafted stage all around, one that radiates top-level aura. S for sure above Degenbrecher. Yeah. After going from the top, we're going straight to the bottom with Ya. Like, look at them. Like, they're just straight up a foxy femboy. And even if they're a Fairmont, they really don't do anything aside from talking shit and getting bent. Their gameplay is also incredibly uninspired, like, they just float and move around and hit people. The only interesting thing they even do or did is multiply, but it's not as if that doubles their aura, because 0 times 2 is still 0. Like, to the bottom with you, I guess you still have more aura than Jesselton though. And Free, I guess, and definitely Stitch. Rathalos. I fear I might get flamed for this one, but this guy really isn't anything special. I mean, it's a dragon. It does dragon things, it flies around, spews fire, slashes, and yeah, that's it. I know this guy's from the collab, but it really doesn't inspire much awe. The only thing it really has going for it is that it's still a dragon, which have aura by default. But there's really nothing redeeming about it as a character nor gameplay-wise to elevate it over the other interesting characters actually within the Arknights universe. So yeah, I guess he'll be at the bottom of B for now. Kristen. To preface this, I want to say that the Lone Trail trailer is perhaps one of the best pieces of media the Arknights IP has ever released. It conceptually tells the story of Control's pursuit and struggle of piercing the false sky very well, and the BGM is a very significant part of this masterful storytelling. Control is one of the most auraed characters in the entirety of Arknights, without a doubt. Her mere background of being the head honcho of Rhinelab is already aura enough, but seeing her in action just cements her stature as a character. Like, the only question here is, how high can she go? Because this isn't really just a character ranking, it's a boss ranking. And her boss fight among the S candidates is really the weakest. She just walks around and does a bunch of stuff with her starrings. It's not really totally bland, but it really lacks the flair that martyrs and leaders have in their boss fights. So I guess I'll have to put her at the bottom of S for now. Gardener. I hate this guy. He just walks around and does nothing. He's more a hazard than an actual enemy. And he's also just someone within the story that's being manipulated. There is no aura to be found when you yourself don't have full agency of your actions. And yeah, he might just straight up be the most auraless boss in the entire game. To the bottom with you. Dolly. This boss fight was overall kinda alright. Nothing too great, nothing too boring. Yeah, the song was honestly a bop though. I love the vibe that So Long Adele had going on with its music in general. Dolly being the sovereign of sheep carries a good amount of weight as well. Of course, he's kinda immature in certain ways, but I genuinely enjoyed the whimsical nature of his persona. And yeah, Dolly just being a guy that's doing stuff for shit and giggles, there's definitely aura in there for sure. Solid B guy. We haven't had much in B guys. A lot of the characters have either been a bit on the higher end or a bit on the lower end. Yeah, no one's really in the middle of the pack, but yeah, Dolly solidly in the middle. Clip. He's an old mercenary man with angel wings. He has aura by default. I don't make the rules. The thing about him is that he hits so hard for really no reason at all. Like, he has a really good attack stat, a stun, and a dash. Gameplay-wise, he might be overpowered, vents notwithstanding. Being the head of BSW, an entire private military company, that also has a certain aura in it for sure. The music though, I don't know, it feels kinda a generic fighting team. It gets the job done, but it doesn't really add much to his aura. Like, I guess he's a solid A, he has a lot of good things going for him, but is just lacking in some areas. Definitely higher than Kreide for sure. Witch King. Okay, Witch King, the big bad of Latonian. He's already someone significant by default. And it's a Latonian event, so the music is good as expected. However, a big problem is that his boss fight is just so disgustingly underwhelming. The most notable thing he can really do is teleport around, which is okay, whatever, I guess. His ability to relocate operators is cool, I'll give it that. But it's also just a mild inconvenience at best. His other abilities you don't even feel as if they exist. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I did read the story. I'm a bit of a lore guy, but the plot point of finding the Witch King was just so done in a really unengaging manner that it really undersold him, I think. So, even if he's this big of a character within the universe, there's just so many negatives that I have to go and put him at B just before Sui-Xiang. Well, Sui-Xiang's above because, well, lasers are cool. Harold. I do genuinely like and enjoy Harold as a character. He's someone that I think has a certain sense of conviction into him that I cannot help but respect. Like, in his position, he was stuck between his duty to Victoria and his love for Kiarag, but I do have a sense of a level of respect, at least, for someone that so decisively chose to follow his duty to his country, I guess. And his fight I also did find reasonably innovative. Like, the thing with the cannons was kind of cool and a spectacle in itself, and at the same time, he's also a medic, right? So him healing his teammates, his allies, it's a good level of story integration as well. That I actually do enjoy his boss and his character a good amount, and it definitely has a sense of aura in it. But at the same time, he's also kind of middling, so I guess he can go in B, just behind Dolly. Last, Slumbering of Sui. Like, I get it, it's supposed to be a dragon, but it really just looks like a pile of I won't say what. But yeah, it's just a boring stat stick, albeit one that interacts with the event mechanic somewhat, but yeah, the event mechanic was kinda It doesn't really add much, and really, it looks like shit. Even its dragon form after molting is really not imposing at all. Its boss fight was also really negligible at best. Despite being a dragon, it somehow managed to have so little aura. Impressive, really. It's at the end of C for me. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, looks like a fairly solid Aura Skibidi Riz 100 boss tier list, and, well, I'm saying it because I made it, but yeah. Tell me your thoughts about it if you disagree with anything. And let me know if I should do other bosses as well. There's still story bosses and IS bosses that are left to do. If you enjoy the content, like and sub, I guess. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Deuces.